You don't lack time, you lack control. Most people wake up and let the world take the wheel first. Notifications, noise, mood, distractions. Then they stay busy all day and call it progress. It's not. It's autopilot. And autopilot is why you keep working but keep staying in the same place. Here is the truth. This book is built on success is not a lucky break. It is a habit. One habit. Full control of your time and energy every single day. When you take control, the change can feel overnight, not because life becomes easy, but because you stop being dragged, you stop reacting, you start directing, you plan your day, you execute even when you don't feel like it. You protect your focus like your future depends on it because it does. And when you do that, momentum starts building fast. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates results. This is not motivation. This is a system. Plan, execute, protect, repeat. If you are ready to stop drifting and start winning, stay with me. Chapter 1. You don't lack time. You lack control. Let's end the lie right now. You are not losing your life because you don't have time. You are losing your life because you wake up and hand your time away before you even stand up. You live on autopilot. You react to the world instead of creating your day. Notifications decide your attention. Mood decides your effort. Distractions decide your direction. Then you call it busy and wonder why you're not moving. You start the day with noise, and you spend the rest of the day chasing it. You wait for motivation like it's coming to rescue you. It won't. Here is the truth you need to hear. You don't lack hours. You lack control. And until you take control, the same day will repeat with a different date. Now listen closely, because this is where power returns to you. Success is not built by one lucky break. It is built in the small, consistent actions you repeat when nobody is watching. It is built in the decisions you make when you are tired, distracted, and tempted to drift. The moment you decide, from now on, I control my time and energy. Your life shifts, not because your problems disappear, because you stop being dragged by them. You stop living in reaction mode. You stop letting feelings set your schedule. You stop letting the outside world steal your focus. You step into the driver's seat, and you need to be clear about what that means from this moment. You are the one in control, not your emotions, not your distractions, not other people's demands. You. This is not about working harder. This is about taking your power back. Time is the most valuable thing you have, and it does not come back. Money can return. Opportunities can return. Time does not. Every day you live without a plan is a day you leak your life away. And leaks don't look dramatic. They look normal. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, just checking, just scrolling, just one more video. But that is how a future gets stolen quietly, daily, repeatedly. The world is built to take your attention if you don't control your time. Someone else will. If you don't decide where your energy goes, the world will decide for you. And the cost is always the same. Your goals stay untouched, your confidence shrinks, and your life becomes a loop of unfinished intentions. This is reverse compound. Small losses, repeated, become a lifetime you cannot get back. So you need a shift, not a speech. You need a move, not more information. And the move is simple. but it is a line in the sand. Stop reacting. That's it. Stop letting the first part of your day belong to other people and random noise. The micro shift starts in the first 30 minutes after you wake up. If you reach for your phone first, you are choosing to be controlled. You are choosing to start your day with other people's priorities, other people's opinions, and 1,000 tiny distractions that fragment your mind. So replace it. Make one decision replace X with Y. Replace open the phone and react with one deliberate action that takes control. Sit up. Breathe. Decide one priority for the day. Write it down. One sentence, one target. Then take one small action toward it before you let anything else in. Read a page that makes you stronger. Plan the next step. Do a short workout. Clean one thing that clears your space. It doesn't matter which, what matters is the message you send to yourself. I control the start, so I control the day. This is how winners move. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't negotiate with distraction. They don't ask for permission. They act with intention. And now comes the ultimatum. Because your life is not a debate. Discipline beats motivation every time, because motivation is temporary. If you do not train control, you will be trained by the world. If you do not protect your time, it will be taken. If you keep living in reaction mode, you will keep getting reaction-level results. You don't need more knowledge. You need one real execution. From today, either you control or you get controlled. Choose. And if you choose control, understand what comes next. You will need a fortress, because the enemy is noise. Chapter 2. Busy does not create progress. Escape the fake productivity trap. There is a thief in your day, and it does not wear a mask. It looks like noise. It looks like distraction. It looks like endless entertainment and endless small tasks that feel harmless. The world is designed to pull you away from what matters. One notification at a time, one message at a time, one quick thing at a time. You think you are moving. You think you are doing a lot. But most of what you call being busy is just being dragged. You wake up and the day takes you. Emails decide your mood. Messages decide your priorities. Other people's urgency becomes your schedule. You spend hours reacting, and then you wonder why nothing changes. This is not a time problem. This is a control problem. Do not let your day drift and then pretend you are building a life. Identify the thief. Name it. Cut it off. Do not let a day pass and decide who you are. Now understand the next truth. Your time is limited. Your energy is limited. You do not get refunds. You do not get extra hours because you meant well. Time is the most valuable thing you have because once it is gone, it is gone forever. And the most dangerous lie is this: I was busy. Busy is often a disguise for avoidance. It is a way to stay active while dodging the hard, important work that would actually change your life. People do not lose because they do nothing. People lose because they pour their best energy into the wrong place. Winners are not the ones who do more. Winners are the ones who aim their energy where it belongs. Busy will not save you. Only effective will get you to the finish line. So you need a new standard, a ruthless standard. Stop confusing motion with progress. Motion is running around. Progress is moving forward. You can be in motion all day and still be standing in the same place at night. You can answer 100 messages and still build nothing. You can attend meetings, scroll, plan, reorganize, and research until you feel productive, and still have no result. Ask the only question that matters. Is what I am doing producing real value? Or is it just consuming my life? If it does not create a real outcome, it is noise. If it does not build you stronger, sharper, more disciplined, it is a distraction. Stop working to feel busy. Work to produce results. Now you need a filter. One sentence, one blade, before you say yes. Before you start. Before you give your attention away. Ask, does this serve my biggest goal today? If the answer is no, you do not negotiate. You decide. Use 3 boxes for everything that enters your day. Do it. Delay it. Delete it. Do it only if it moves the needle. Delay it if it matters, but it is not the priority right now. Delete it if it is stealing your focus and giving you nothing back. This is not about being rude. This is about being responsible. You cannot build a strong life while saying yes to everything. You cannot protect your future while letting random demands hijack your attention. Learn to say no. Say no without guilt. Say no without explanation. Say no because your life is too important to be owned by other people's noise. If a task does not move you forward, it becomes weight, and weight slows you down. Cut it. Finally. See what happens when you do this. When you remove noise, you move faster. When you stop reacting, you think clearer. When you stop feeding distractions, you start feeding momentum. You get lighter. You get sharper. You stop feeling scattered. You stop ending your days with that empty fatigue that comes from doing everything except what matters. Focus gives you speed. Discipline gives you freedom. You start producing in a day what others take a week to produce because you are not leaking energy into meaningless motion. This is the moment you take the wheel back. This is the moment you stop drifting and start building. Real freedom does not begin when life gets easier. Real freedom begins when you have the discipline to ignore what is worthless and commit fully to what is important. Chapter 3. Autopilot Mode. What's stealing your day? You can feel it now. The gap, the difference between the life you say you want and the day you actually live. In your head, you see a version of you who is focused, disciplined, moving with purpose. In reality, your hours get pulled apart by noise, distractions, and the environment around you. You're starting to realize that your life could change fast if you take control, but the world around you is still running the old script. Most people are living in autopilot. They react. They drift. They let the day choose for them. They wake up and immediately surrender their attention to whatever is loudest. And the moment you try to step out of that autopilot, you will feel the friction. Because you're not just fighting habits, you're fighting gravity. You're trying to build a different life while everything around you is trained to keep you the same. And here's the part people don't expect: the first shots often come from the closest people. Friendly fire, not because they hate you, because they recognize the old version of you and they're comfortable with it. When you start becoming strict, when you start protecting your time, when you stop being available on demand, they will question it. They will joke about it. They will test it. They will act confused when you say no. They might call you extreme for being ruthless with your schedule. They might not understand why you're suddenly acting like your time is sacred. Expect that. Don't be shocked by it. When you do something different than the crowd, you must expect resistance. That resistance is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you've stopped blending in. But the real war isn't out there. The real war is inside your head. Inner civil war. The moment things get hard, your mind starts negotiating. It tries to drag you back to comfort. It whispers, "Rest today." It says, "Skip it just once." It says, "Wait until you feel motivated." It tries to sell you the old deal trade long-term freedom for short-term relief. And that voice is dangerous because it sounds reasonable. It sounds like logic. It sounds like self-care. But it's the same trap that keeps you drifting. Autopilot is not just your phone. It's not just the noise around you. It's the reflex to avoid discomfort. It's the habit of reacting instead of creating. If you don't learn to recognize that moment when your mind tries to pull you back into the old patterns, you will keep losing days without even noticing. So here's what you do. You stop begging for approval. You stop waiting for people to understand your standards. You stop trying to explain yourself to anyone who benefits from your distraction. You are not here to be understood. You are here to build. You make a declaration and you live it. I am in control, not my emotions, not distractions. That means you get ruthless. You cut what steals your focus. You cut what fractures your energy. You cut what turns your day into fragments. You stop reacting to every message, every notification, every opinion, every demand. You set boundaries. You protect your schedule. You execute the plan even when you don't feel like it. Because this is the shift you move from reacting to the world to creating the life you want. And once you make that shift, you don't need permission. You need discipline. And here's the prophecy. Winners live by results, speak louder than explanations. If you hold control long enough, progress becomes undeniable. The people who question you today will watch you change tomorrow. Not because you argued, because you executed. Winners don't prove themselves with words. They prove themselves with consistency, with momentum, with outcomes. So stop performing, stop convincing, stop asking for approval. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Keep showing up. You don't need to persuade. You need progress. And now you've identified the thieves, your noise, your distractions, the friendly fire around you, and the inner negotiation inside you. Next comes the decision step. It's time to move from awareness to command. From today, you take the wheel. Chapter 4. From today, you take the wheel. The Control Manifesto. Motivation is a trap because it is unreliable. It shows up when it wants. It disappears when you need it most. If you hand your life to motivation, you hand your life to a stranger. If you wait for the mood, you are not living. You are reacting. You are drifting. You are negotiating with a feeling that does not care about your future. You wait, you drift, you lose the day. And the days you lose do not disappear. They compound against you. You do not need motivation to begin. You need presence. You need to show up before you feel ready. You need to move before you feel confident. You need to act while your emotions are still arguing. Because action is the only thing that stays. Action is the only thing that can drive. From today, you do not let your feelings take the wheel. You do. Control is not a slogan. Control is a contract. Real control is you keeping a promise when nobody is watching. It is you doing what you said you would do, even when it is small, even when it is boring, even when it is quiet. That is where self-respect is built. That is where power is built. Make it simple. Make it undeniable. Write one sentence and live by it every day. I show up for X, even if it is only 20 to 30 minutes. That is the deal. That is the new standard. Not heroic, not dramatic, just consistent. Your life will not change because you had one perfect day. Your life will change because you became the kind of person who does not break appointments with yourself. If you cannot keep a small promise daily, you will never keep a big promise long term. So stop aiming for impressive. Aim for reliable. Show up, on time, every day. And understand this now, the bad day is the real test. Anyone can be disciplined on a good day. Anyone can work when energy is high and everything is smooth. That is not control. That is convenience. Control is when the day is heavy, when you are tired, when you are distracted, when your mind is loud, when life is messy. That is when taking the wheel actually means something. So you will not fear the bad day. You will prepare for it. You will set a minimum that cannot be negotiated on a bad day. You do the smaller version. You do the stripped-down version. You do the simplest version that still counts. But you do not leave the day empty. You do not have the right to turn a bad day into a blank day. Because blank days are how people lose their lives without noticing. You do not need to do everything. You need to do something. You keep the chain alive. You protect the habit. You prove, in the hardest moments, that you are still the driver. And if your mind tries to hide behind perfection, you cut it off. Perfection is another trap. Overthinking is a disguise for fear. I'll start when it's cleaner. I'll start when it's clearer. I'll start when it's perfect. That is not wisdom. That is delay. Results do not come from perfect intentions. Results come from rough drafts repeated. You build your life the same way you build anything real. You choose what moves you forward. You do the rough version now. You close it, and you do not sit there polishing your ego. 3 steps. Choose the one thing that pushes you forward. Do the rough draft immediately. Close it and do not over-edit it into procrastination. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to progress. You are here to stack days. You are here to show up for your future, not your comfort. And every time you show up without mood, without applause, without perfect conditions, you are laying a brick. You are building identity. You are becoming a person who acts automatically instead of a person who waits. That is the compounding effect nobody talks about. One day of showing up does not look like much, but 100 days of showing up turns into a new you, a new standard, a new self-trust that cannot be shaken by noise, setbacks, or slow results. So here is your manifesto. From today, you show up first. Your mood follows. From today, you take the wheel. No excuses, no waiting, no permission needed. And if you want showing up to become automatic, you will have to do one more thing next to surgical cut. You will remove whatever keeps pulling you back into drift. That is where we go in Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Stop Reacting. Start designing the life you want. You are not short on time. You are leaking power. Most of what you call busy is not progress. It is avoidance dressed up as responsibility. You hide in small tasks because they feel safe. You answer messages. You jump between tabs. You handle noise. And at the end of the day, you cannot point to one real upgrade that moved your life forward. So you will audit it, brutally. Ask the checklist and do not lie. Did this create progress? Did this pull me into reactive mode? Did this eat my focus? If the answer is no, then it is not work. It is a cost. It is a tax on your future. Say it clearly and let it cut. What does not create progress is an expense. Now stop trying to win with willpower. Willpower is not a plan. It is a mood, and moods are unreliable. You do not need more motivation. You need better design. You win by building an environment where drifting is hard and execution is normal. Think like an architect. First, reduce friction. Make the right action easier than hesitation. Put the tools where your hands can reach them fast. Prepare the next step so starting takes seconds, not debates. Second, increase friction. Make distractions inconvenient. Put distance between you and the things that steal your attention. Third, lay the rail. Set the first move of your day so it starts you automatically. Before the world pulls you into reaction, you are not hoping for a better day. You are building it. You are laying tracks for your day to run on. But even with a strong environment, there is still an enemy inside. Internal noise, the negotiator, the doubt, the little voice that tries to drag you back into autopilot. It whispers. Later. It argues. Not now. It suggests. Just check one thing. And if you listen, you lose the wheel. Because negotiation is not thinking. It is surrender in slow motion. You need a command that shuts it down on contact. One line. No drama, no discussion. Say it and move. No negotiating. Follow the plan. When the noise starts, do not analyze it. Do not entertain it. Cut it. The more you negotiate, the more you drift, the more you drift. The more you wake up tomorrow in the same life you say you want to escape. Now understand the price of creating. You cannot build a focused life while trying to hold on to every invitation, every update, every trend, every conversation, every small opportunity that looks nice. You cannot keep full control and still chase everything. Creation requires trade-offs. Focus demands sacrifice. You will miss things. You will not be everywhere. You will not respond to everything. And that is not a loss. That is the cost of a future that is bigger than your comfort. Most people fear missing out because they think being included is safety. It is not. It is distraction wearing a friendly face. You do not need to be everywhere. You need to be effective. You need to protect the one thing that can change your life, your attention. Freedom is not free. It requires you to close doors. It requires you to leave some noise unanswered so your future can finally be heard. This is where your power becomes real. The word no. Every time you fail to say no to what does not matter, you sell your time cheap. You trade your focus for approval. You trade your plan for convenience. And then you wonder why you keep living in reaction. The people who win are not the ones with more hours. They are the ones with stronger boundaries. No is not rejection. No is protection. No is you choosing your future over 1,000 small distractions. Say no to the pointless request. Say no to the extra task that does not move the needle. Say no to the habit that steals your energy. Say no so you can say yes to the life you are building. You do not need more time. You need more. No. You have the wheel now. You stopped reacting. You started designing. But design without direction is still drifting with better excuses. Next, you need a plan that tells you exactly where to steer. You are in control. Now you need a plan to drive the right way. Chapter 6. A simple daily plan, but one that produces results. If you have no plan, You are not living your day. Your day is living you. Messages decide your mood. Notifications decide your attention. Other people's priorities decide your schedule. You think you are busy, but you are just reacting. That is autopilot, and autopilot always ends the same way. You finish the day tired, and nothing important moved. No plan means no control. No control means you get dragged. Read this carefully. No plan. You do not live, you get lived. Now, redefine what a plan is. A plan is not a long to-do list that makes you feel safe for 5 minutes. A plan is a choice. A plan is the decision to pick a few actions that actually change your direction. Most people plan like collectors. They pile tasks until the list is a graveyard of good intentions. That is not control. That is clutter. That is an anxiety blanket. Real planning is ruthless. It cuts. It chooses. It says, "This matters. Everything else can wait." Plan is not a list. Plan is a choice. And here is the only success criteria that matters. Progress, not activity, not motion, not stress. Progress. If you end the day exhausted but your biggest goal did not move, your day was stolen. You can answer emails all day and still be losing. You can run from meeting to meeting and still be stuck. You can be productive and still be going nowhere. The world will reward your results, not your busyness. You only need one thing today. Move forward. Now I will give you a tool you can hold in your hand. Not a philosophy, not a speech, a simple map you can build in 3 to 5 minutes. I call it the Daily Outcome Map. It has 3 parts: 1 outcome, 2 steps, 1 block. That's it. 1 outcome. What is the most important result you must produce today? Not what you want to do. What must be true by the end of the day for you to say, "I moved forward"? 2 steps. The 2 specific actions that create that outcome. Not 10, not 100. 2, clear, physical, executable. 1. Block a fixed time block that is non-negotiable. A protected window where you do the steps. No multitasking, no noise, no pretending. 1 outcome, 2 steps, 1 block, done. That is your plan. That is control. That is how you stop drifting. Here is where you stop lying to yourself. You must learn to discriminate. You must separate real progress from busy work. Busy work makes you feel active. Progress changes your life. Busy work is replying, scrolling, checking, organizing, polishing, getting ready. Progress is producing the thing that moves the needle. Writing the page, making the call, doing the workout, building the skill, shipping the work, creating the output. Do not confuse. I did a lot with "I moved forward." Activity is not progress. Outcome is progress. You are not allowed to mix those 2 ever again. Now the law. This is the part most people will avoid because it demands discipline. You protect the outcome at all costs. The outcome comes first. Everything else lines up behind it. Emails can wait. Meetings can wait. Requests can wait. Even your own moods can wait. You do the block first, or you get swallowed, because once the day starts attacking you, you will not find time. You will lose time. So set the order. Outcome first, then the noise. Say it to yourself until you obey it. If the outcome is not done, you are not allowed to be busy. You have not earned busyness. You have not earned distractions. You earn them after progress. That is how winners operate. They do not start the day with reaction. They start it with control. Now listen, life will test you. You will have bad days. Days when you wake up tired. Days when you feel behind. Days when stress is heavy and everything feels urgent. This is where you either build momentum or you break it. Bad days do not get to become empty days. You do not get to use "I'm tired" as a permission slip to drift. You use a minimalist version. You keep the structure but shrink the size. One outcome stays. 2 steps shrink. 1 block becomes shorter. But the block still happens. The point is not perfection. The point is continuity. Because momentum is a real force, and momentum dies when you let a bad day turn into a blank day. A bad day is allowed to be small. It is not allowed to be empty. So here is your assignment. Do not read this and keep moving like nothing changed. Tonight, you take 3 to 5 minutes, not tomorrow. Tonight, you write your daily outcome map for tomorrow. 1 outcome, 2 steps, 1 block. You do it before you sleep because the next morning will not negotiate with you. The next morning will try to drag you into autopilot. And a written plan is your first weapon. You want control. Write the plan. You want progress. Write the plan. Then protect the block like your future depends on it, because it does. And before you try to turn this into another trap, listen to this warning. Do not overload the plan. Do not write 10 outcomes. Do not create a list so long it becomes a reason to quit. Long plans create a fake feeling of control and a real feeling of failure. The longer your plan, the easier you drift. Keep it sharp. Keep it small. Keep it real. 1 outcome, 2 steps, 1 block. That is not minimal because you are weak. That is minimal because you are serious. Now the bridge. A plan only matters if you can start it. And most people lose the day in the first hour. They wake up and feed the noise. They check the world before they check their mission. They open messages before they open their mind. And then they wonder why the plan collapses. You do not need a perfect day. You need a disciplined morning. In the next chapter, you will learn how to win the first hours so your daily outcome map survives the chaos. Because if you can win the morning, you can protect the block. If you can protect the block, you can produce the outcome. And if you can produce the outcome, you will stack days. You will build momentum. You will change your life 1 controlled day at a time. Chapter 7. Morning Control. Start your day with discipline. Your morning is the gate. It is the first decision point. It decides whether the day belongs to you or whether the day belongs to everyone else. If you lose control in the first hour, you will spend the rest of the day reacting. You will answer demands. You will chase noise. You will burn energy on other people's priorities and call it being busy. That is not a day. That is a surrender. Here is the rule. Win the morning or lose the day. You lose the morning. You lose the whole day. Most people do not choose reaction mode. They fall into it. They open their eyes and reach for the phone like it is oxygen. Notifications, messages, news, emails, a quick scroll, a quick check, a quick response. And in that moment, the steering wheel leaves your hands. You did not even get out of bed, and you are already serving the outside world. That is autopilot. That is the trap of opening your eyes. The first thing you do becomes the first command your brain obeys. And if the first command is react, you will keep reacting. Remember this line. The first moment you react, you lose control, You do not fix this with motivation. You fix it with a window, a protected space, a simple system, a non-negotiable standard. I call it the morning control window. 30 to 60 minutes at the start of the day that belongs to you, not to the world, not to your inbox, not to other people's problems, to you. This is not about being perfect. This is about being in charge, and the window is built on 3 steps. No noise. Read the plan. Start the first step. No noise means you do not take in outside information that pulls your mind apart. No phone, no social feed, no news, no email, no conversations that drag you into reaction. You start the day with a clean mind because a dirty input creates a dirty output. Read the plan means you look at your daily outcome map from last night. You do not guess your day. You do not feel it out. You read what you already decided. You reconnect with the one outcome that matters. Start the first step means you execute the first 10 to 15 minutes of the most important thing. Not later. Not after breakfast. Not after you warm up. You start. You move. You act. Here is the truth. Just start. And the day will follow. Some people still resist this because they think the morning has to be big. They think it has to be intense. They think it has to be a dramatic transformation scene. It does not. You do not need to explode. You need to ignite. The brain does not need a heroic speech. It needs proof. And proof comes from action. Action creates motivation. Not the other way around. When you start with a small win, you create momentum. You create movement. You create a feeling of control. That feeling is power. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you decide. It changes the way you carry yourself through the next hours. That is why the window works. You are not trying to feel ready. You are training yourself to move first. You do not need a breakthrough. You need a startup. You do not need a burst. You need a launch. You do not need to be perfect. You need to begin. Now let's talk about real life. Some mornings are crowded. Some mornings are tight. Some mornings you do not have 60 minutes. Good. That is not an excuse. That is the exact reason you need more control, not less. If you only control your morning when you have time, you do not have a system. You have a mood. You have convenience. Winners do not build their life on convenience. So here is the standard for busy days. Even if you only have 10 minutes, you still do the window. You still do no noise. You still read the plan. And you still start the first step. 10 minutes is enough to regain the steering wheel. 10 minutes is enough to prove to your brain that you are the one in charge. Do not say, "I don't have time." Say, "That's why I must control it." Lack of time is not a reason to surrender. It is a reason to tighten discipline. But there is another trap you must avoid. The trap of turning your morning into a performance. A long ritual. A fancy routine. A perfect checklist that looks impressive but produces nothing. Some people create a morning that is full of activities and empty of results. They meditate. They journal. They watch videos. They organize. They plan again. They prepare. And somehow, the real work never starts. That is not morning control. That is morning decoration. Do not confuse ritual with execution. Do not confuse self-improvement theater with progress. Your morning is not for showing off. Your morning is for building. Your morning is for action. Your morning is for the first real step. If your routine does not lead you into execution, it is noise wearing a nice outfit. Cut it. Your morning is not for decoration. Your morning is for action. You learn this with practice, not with theories. So here is your assignment. A 3-day challenge, 3 days in a row. You will run the morning control window. No excuses, no special circumstances. 3 days is short enough to stop negotiating and long enough to feel the shift. For 3 mornings, you will wake up and protect the first 30 to 60 minutes, or at minimum 10 minutes if the day is tight. Step 1. No noise. You do not touch the phone. You do not feed the outside world. Step 2. Read the plan. You read your daily outcome map from the night before. Step 3. Start the first step. You execute 10 to 15 minutes of the most important task. Then, you write one line only. What did it feel like to start your day with control instead of scrolling? What did it feel like to touch the work before the noise touched you? You do not need a novel. You need evidence, and after 3 days, you will see it. You will feel different. Your mind will be quieter. Your decisions will be sharper. Your day will stop slipping away. 3 days. That is all it takes to prove the point. Just 3 days. And you will see that you are not the same when you start in control. This is bigger than productivity. This is training. Every morning is a lesson your brain learns about who is in charge. If you wake up and react, you teach your mind that the world leads and you follow. If you wake up and take control, you teach your mind that you lead. You are not your emotions. You are not the outside noise. You are not the random demands that show up in your inbox. You are the one who decides. You are the one who commands. You are the one who moves first. The people who win do not wait for a good day. They create one through deliberate action. They create it in silence. They create it before anyone claps. They create it before the world has a chance to pull them apart. That is why they move faster. That is why they stay consistent. That is why their life changes while other people keep drifting. You do not wait for a good day. You build a good day. And now you are ready for the next step. Starting strong is not enough if your priorities get stolen by noon. The morning gives you the steering wheel. But you still need rules to protect the wheel all day long. You still need a system that refuses to let the world tear your plan into pieces. That is what we build next, because if you do not choose your priority, the world will choose it for you. Chapter 8. Absolute priority. Only do what moves you forward. You are not losing because you lack time. You are losing because you lack priorities. The hours are not the problem. Your choices are. Every minute you do not choose what matters. Something else chooses for you. A message, a request, a notification, a small task that feels urgent, and before you know it, the day is gone and your life did not move. You tell yourself you were busy, but busy is not progress. Here is the wake-up call you choose every day. You just choose unconsciously, and unconscious choices will always build an unconscious life. Priority is not a feeling. It is not something you do when you feel motivated. It is not a promise you make in the morning and forget by noon. Priority is law. It is a system. It is a hard rule you live by when your mood changes, when pressure hits, when the world pulls you in 10 directions. If your priorities depend on how you feel, you will lose. If your priorities depend on what is loudest, you will drift. You need a filter so ruthless it protects your plan even when life gets messy. Here is the tool. 1 sentence, 1 gate. The ruthless filter. Does this serve the most important outcome I must produce today? If the answer is yes, it is DO. You do it now. You do it before anything else. If the answer is no, but it still matters later, it is delay. You schedule it. You control it. You do not let it hijack your day. If the answer is no and it is just noise, it is delete. You cut it. No guilt, no explanation, no negotiation, because your future is too expensive to pay for with distractions. Say it until it becomes your standard. If it does not pass the filter, it does not enter your day. Most people get trapped by imposters. They confuse urgent with important. They confuse loud with valuable. They confuse someone needs me right now with this moves my life forward. A message feels urgent. A notification feels urgent. A request feels urgent. But urgent does not mean important. Important is what builds your future. Important is what moves the needle. Important is what creates results even when nobody sees it. If you spend your day answering what is urgent, you will stay busy forever and you will stay behind forever. So you must learn to spot the imposter fast. Loud tasks are often small tasks wearing a costume. They want your attention because attention is power. Do not give it away. This is why your outcome block matters. The outcome block you set earlier is not a suggestion. It is not flexible time. It is not if nothing comes up. It is your most sacred appointment. It is the hour you pay yourself first. No one gets to invade it. Nothing gets to interrupt it. Not calls, not messages, not random quick things. If you cancel your outcome block, you are canceling your future. Protect it like your life depends on it. Because it does. You respect your plan by defending the time where the plan becomes real. Now let's talk about the world pulling you away. People will ask, life will demand, work will interrupt, friends will invite, family will call. And if you do not have boundaries, you will be dragged. You do not need long explanations to protect your time. You do not need to convince anyone. You need to be polite and firm, because every time you say yes to someone else's request, you are saying no to your own future. Remember this line and live by it. You do not owe anyone your day. You owe your day to your mission. You owe your day to the life you said you wanted. The world will take as much as you give, so give less. Give better. Give on purpose, not out of guilt, and the hardest battle is not outside. It is inside. The inside voice will whisper. Just rest. Just scroll for a minute. Just delay it. Start later. That is not your friend. That is an infiltrator, and you do not negotiate with an infiltrator. You issue a command, short, clean, immediate. Go back to step 1 right now. Back to the filter. Back to the outcome. Back to the block. You do not need motivation. You need return speed. You do not need a new plan. You need to get back on track fast. Say it clearly, you don't need negotiation. You need to return. Now you train this in real life. Here is your 24-hour practice for the next 24 hours. Every new request, every new task, every new invitation gets labeled on the spot DO, delay, or delete. No exceptions. You are building a reflex. You are training your brain to prioritize automatically. This is how control becomes a habit. Small decisions, repeated, become identity. You will feel resistance at first. Good. That means you are breaking the old pattern. Keep labeling. Keep choosing. Keep protecting what matters. And now the summary. Because you need a simple rule you can carry into every day. Winners are not the people who do the most. Winners are the people who do the right things. They do what creates outcomes. They do what builds the future. They do what moves the needle. You are not here to do everything. You are here to do the right thing. Repeat it until it becomes your standard. You do not do everything. You do the right thing. And here is the bridge. This chapter closes the design phase. You have a plan. You have a disciplined morning. You have a ruthless filter to protect your day. Now the next phase begins. Because a plan does not change your life by being beautiful. A plan changes your life by being executed. The next step is simple and brutal: execute no matter what. Chapter 9. Don't wait for motivation. Build discipline. You do not lack intention. You lack a command. Most people fail because they treat work like a negotiation. They talk themselves into it. They talk themselves out of it. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they feel inspired. They wait until the mood is perfect. And while they are waiting, their life keeps moving without them. Wanting change is cheap. Thinking about change is cheap. Planning change is cheap. Results are not built by desire. Results are built by orders followed through. The day you stop negotiating with yourself is the day you start winning. You do not need inspiration. You need discipline. Now let me warn you before it happens. The wall is coming. It is not a maybe. It is a certainty. There will be days when you wake up with low energy. Days when your mind feels heavy. Days when you doubt the plan. Days when the work feels pointless. Days when distractions feel louder than your vision. If you are not prepared for that moment, you will interpret it as a sign to stop. You will believe the lie that something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. This is the process. This is the test. You are not dealing with if, you are dealing with when, and when it hits. You need a system, not a feeling. Because motivation will betray you. Motivation is emotional weather. It rises and falls with sleep, health, stress, compliments, setbacks, the mood of the day. If you depend on motivation to execute, you are hiring an unstable driver for your life. Some days it shows up, some days it disappears. Some days it drives fast. Some days it pulls over and quits. And you are left on the side of the road staring at your goals like they are far away and impossible. That is what happens when you make motivation your engine. It is not built for consistency. It is built for moments. Depending on motivation is hiring a volatile person to be the driver. So here is the truth most people avoid. Difficulty is not punishment. Difficulty is a filter. When the work gets hard, when it gets boring, when it gets uncomfortable, the crowd disappears. The ones who only move when it feels good fall off. The ones who only show up when the mood is right quit. The wall is not there to stop you. It is there to separate you. It is there to reveal who is serious and who is playing. If you can keep moving through discomfort, you automatically enter a smaller group, a sharper group, a group that wins because they do not need comfort to execute. You are not being punished. You are being filtered. Now, lock in the definition. Discipline is a command, not a feeling. Discipline means you execute the plan no matter what mood you are in. The plan is not a topic for debate. The plan is an order. You are not the person who sits down and discusses whether the work deserves your effort today. You are the person who carries it out. When you treat your plan like a negotiation, Your emotions become the decision maker when you treat your plan like a command. Your actions become consistent, and consistency is what builds momentum. You do not discuss with the plan, you execute. That is the standard. Now you must learn emotional detachment. You are allowed to feel tired. You are allowed to feel discouraged. You are allowed to feel nothing. But you are not allowed to let those feelings take the wheel. Feelings are information, not instruction. They can be loud. They can be convincing. They can make quitting sound reasonable. But your commitment must stand above your temporary emotions. Your future is too valuable to be decided by a bad day. So you detach. You separate what you feel from what you do. You can be tired, but you still work. And to make this real, you need a tool you can use in the moment. Here it is. The command line. One sentence, one action, no debate, no build-up, no perfection. You say, I do step 1 for 10 minutes, right now. Not step 10, not the full project. Step 1. 10 minutes, right now. This tool is designed to break inertia. Your brain resists the start, not the work. Your brain tries to protect comfort. It creates excuses. It creates delay. It creates overthinking. The command line cuts through all of that. It does not ask for confidence. It does not ask for motivation. It does not ask for a perfect plan. It asks for one small execution unit. Immediately. When you do 10 minutes, the machine turns on. When the machine turns on, momentum begins. When momentum begins, motivation follows behind like a late employee trying to catch up. The command has to be short so the action can be fast. The shorter the command, the faster the movement. Now add the next weapon. The one more rule. When your mind wants to stop, you do not think big. You do not try to become heroic. You do one more unit, one more page, one more 5 minutes, one more small step. This is how you build the muscle. Not by giant speeches, not by sudden bursts, by tiny extensions under pressure. The moment you want to quit is the moment you train. That is where discipline is built. You do not need more a lot. You need one more. And if you stack one more again and again, you become the kind of person who does not break. Now you will turn this chapter into proof. You will run a 7-day drill. For the next 7 days, you will apply the command line at least once per day. I do step 1 for 10 minutes, right now. And at least once per day, you will apply the one more rule, one more page, one more rep, one more 5 minutes. No excuses, no skipping. This is not about performance. This is about identity. You are building trust with yourself. You are training yourself to become reliable, because the real gap is not talent. The real gap is self-trust. Every time you follow through, you deposit credibility. Every time you quit, you withdraw it for 7 days. You will deposit. You are training to become someone you can count on. And once you can count on yourself, everything changes. Now here is the bridge. This chapter taught you the system. It taught you the definition. It gave you tools. But the next level is brutal honesty. There will be days when you do not just feel unmotivated. There will be days when you do not want to do anything at all. Days when your body is heavy. Days when your mind is blank. Days when you feel like you have nothing. That is where most people collapse. That is where winners separate permanently. Next chapter is simple. It is the real fight. Chapter 10, How You Execute When You Do Not Want to Do Anything Anymore. Chapter 10, Execute. No matter what, do it even when you don't want to. The day that decides your future is not the beautiful day. It's not the day you feel inspired. It's not the day you wake up energized and ready to attack. The real foundation is built on the worst days, the heavy days, the days when your body feels slow, your mind feels loud, and your emotions want you back in comfort. That is the moment you prove who is driving. Because if you only execute when it feels good, you are not in control. You are being managed by mood. And mood is a weak leader. You don't earn your life on easy days. You earn it on the days you want to quit. The day you don't want to do it is the most important day. Before you break. There are warnings. A wall always announces itself. You can predict it if you're honest. First sign, you suddenly become productive at everything that doesn't matter. You clean, you organize, you check emails, you do small tasks with zero impact because they feel safe. Second sign, you start telling yourself the future lie. I'll make up for it tomorrow. That sentence is a trap. Tomorrow is where broken people store their promises. Third sign, you reach for your phone like it's medicine. You scroll to numb the tension. You look for comfort in noise. That is not rest, that is escape. Call it what it is. Not laziness, not lack of talent, not bad luck. You're not lazy. You're hiding. Now you separate the adult from the child. You separate the commander from the negotiator. Your emotions are not your enemy, but they do not get a vote. Treat them like weather. Some days it's sunny, some days it's stormy. The mission does not change because the sky changed. You run your day on plan, not on mood. You execute because you decided, not because you feel ready. You do not ask permission from tiredness. You do not ask permission from boredom. You do not ask permission from fear. You acknowledge what you feel, then you move anyway. That is control. That is leadership. You don't ask your emotions for permission to work. Here is the tool, not a speech, not a quote, a protocol. Because on the bad days, you don't need motivation. You need a procedure you can follow when your mind is weak. Execute protocol. Has 4 steps. Step 1, shrink. Make the task small enough that you can't refuse it. 10 to 15 minutes. Minimum size. No drama. Step 2. Start. Begin the first step immediately. No thinking, no planning loop. Move your hands. Open the document. Put the shoes on. Write the first line. Step 3. Stabilize. Keep a slow, steady rhythm without stopping. Not fast, not intense, continuous. Stay in motion. Step 4. Stop clean. End at the time you decided. Log it. Respect the boundary. No self-judgment. No emotional evaluation. You did the work. That's the win. You don't need an explosion. You need grip. Understand what this moment really is. This is the great filter. This is where people disappear. Not because they are incapable, but because they are undisciplined. This is the point where most lives stay average. They hit resistance and they negotiate with it. They take a break that turns into a month. They miss a day that turns into a new identity, the person who doesn't finish. If you pass this point, you separate yourself from the crowd. You prove you can execute under pressure. You upgrade your standard. You become the type of person who does not vanish when it gets uncomfortable. You clear this point. You level up. And when you feel that quitting impulse rising, you don't argue with it. You don't debate it. You issue a command. One more. One more page. One more rep. One more line of code. One more minute of focus. Not a heroic comeback. Not a 5-hour grind. One unit. Small. Clean. Non-negotiable. This is how momentum is built. Tiny wins stacked on the days your emotions want you to lose. One more keeps the chain alive. One more keeps you in control. One more is the difference between a disciplined person and a drifter. You win with one more. Not with inspiration. Now face the real cost. Because every time you quit on a bad day, you don't just lose the day, you create debt. You borrow comfort from the future and you pay interest with regret. The pain of discipline is real, but it is clean. It's short. It's honest. The pain of regret is dirty. It stays. It follows you. It grows. One is the pain of building. The other is the pain of watching your potential rot because you kept choosing relief. Stop acting like there is no price. There is always a price. The only question is when you pay and what you pay with. You can pay with discipline now, or with regret later. But don't make the other mistake. Don't try to make up for it like a maniac. Don't do the suicidal compensation strategy, 8 hours of grind after 3 days of nothing. That is not discipline. That is guilt in disguise. It burns you out and it breaks the system. Momentum does not come from emotional spikes. Momentum comes from consistency, from showing up again tomorrow, from keeping the rhythm alive. You do not need to punish yourself. You need to return to the plan. You need to keep the chain. Small. Daily. Controlled execution beats wild bursts every time. Momentum doesn't come from impulses. Momentum comes from steady. Now you practice. In the next 24 hours, pick the one important thing you have been avoiding, the thing you keep delaying, the thing you keep preparing for. Stop preparing. Run the protocol. Shrink it to 10 to 15 minutes. Start step 1 immediately. Stabilize without stopping. Stop clean. Log it. That's it. No performance. No perfection. Just real execution. Because this is what changes you, not what you know, but what you do when you don't want to do it. You don't need more knowledge. You need one real execution. And here is the bridge to the next chapter. When you execute, something magical happens, but it's not magic. It's mechanics. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence makes discipline lighter. Not easy, lighter. You stop needing emotional permission because you've proven to yourself that you move without it. That is the loop. That is the engine. And once you feel it, you stop waiting for motivation. You start creating it. Next chapter, Why Action Creates Motivation. Chapter 11. Action creates motivation. Start first. Inspiration follows. You are waiting for the wrong thing. You keep telling yourself you will start when you feel ready, when you feel inspired, when you feel the fire. But that is not how it works. Motivation is not the cause. Motivation is the result. You do not sit there and wait for energy to fall from the sky. You create energy by moving. You create clarity by doing. You create momentum by starting. You wait for the flame. While the flame only comes when you strike the match, if you keep waiting. You keep drifting. and drift is how people lose years without noticing. Here is the old loop that keeps you stuck. You feel bored or overwhelmed. You avoid the work. You feel guilty. That guilt turns into doubt. That doubt turns into lower self-trust. And lower self-trust makes you avoid the work even more. Then you call it a motivation problem. It is not. It is a starting problem. You are not lacking ability. You are lacking the start. That is the whole trap. The longer you delay, the heavier it feels. The heavier it feels, the more you avoid. And the more you avoid, the smaller you become in your own eyes. You do not need a new personality. You need a new reflex. This is where winners separate themselves from everyone else. Not because they have more talent, not because they have better luck, not because they feel amazing every day. They separate themselves at the start line. The average person waits until they want to. The winner starts when they do not want to. That is the difference. That is the 1% edge. The winner does not negotiate with their mood. The winner does not ask for permission from their emotions. The winner starts anyway. And once they start, the mind follows. The body follows. The confidence follows. That is the correct order: action first. Then momentum, then motivation. So you need a tool, not a quote, not a speech, a switch. Here is the starting switch. 3 steps. First, 2 minutes of preparation. Not thinking, not planning. Preparation. Open the document. Put the tools on the table. Clear one small space. Remove one small distraction. 2 minutes. That is it. Second, 10 minutes of real work, full focus, 1 step. The first step you already chose in your plan. Do not jump ahead. Do not redesign the whole system. Do step 1. 10 minutes. Third, mark it completed, tick the box, write 1 line, create evidence, because your brain respects proof, not promises. This is how you flip the switch. You do not search for motivation. You turn on the switch. And now, you must detach from the emotional fantasy that you need to feel excited to work well. That fantasy destroys consistency. It makes you chase a rare mood instead of building a reliable system. Real progress is not built in hype. It is built in normal, in quiet, in repeatable actions done the same way again and again. You win with normal repeated. You win by making the work so regular that your feelings stop having a vote. Some days you will feel strong, some days you will feel nothing. It does not matter. The system still runs. And once you get past the start, you must protect the momentum you just created. This is where the one more rule comes in. The start gets you moving. One more keeps you moving long enough for momentum to grab you. 1 more minute, 1 more page, 1 more rep, 1 more small step. Not because you are trying to be heroic, because you are trying to avoid stopping too early. Momentum is fragile at the beginning. If you stop at the first sign of discomfort, you teach your brain that starting leads to quitting. But if you do 1 more, you teach your brain that starting leads to progress. Momentum begins the moment you do not stop too soon. Now hear this part clearly. There are 2 pains in life, the pain of discipline now, and the pain of regret later. One pain builds you, the other destroys you. One pain is useful, the other is pointless. If you avoid the work today, you do not avoid pain, you trade it. You trade a small pain now for a heavy pain later. You trade effort for regret. You trade progress for guilt. So choose the useful pain. Choose the pain that buys your future. Choose the pain that builds self-respect. Choose the pain that keeps you in control. Because the cost of drifting is always higher than the cost of doing the work. And here is a warning. Many people are addicted to inspiration. They love the rush of a fresh start. They love the excitement of day one. They love the fantasy of a new identity. But the moment the feeling fades, they disappear. That is not discipline. That is entertainment. That is chasing emotion, not building progress. You do not need excitement. You need results. You do not need the high. You need the habit. You do not need hype. You need momentum. You do not need inspiration. You need progress. So stop measuring your day by how you felt. Measure it by what you did. Now I am going to force this into real life with a 7-day assignment. 7 days. No negotiation. Every day. Do the starting switch. 2 minutes of preparation. 10 minutes of real work. Mark it completed. Tick it. Record it. Do not argue with yourself. Do not redesign it. Do not wait for the perfect time. You are rebuilding self-trust through evidence. You are proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who starts. You are proving that your actions can be trusted. That is how confidence is built. Not by thinking, by showing up, by doing, by stacking proof. And once you have this mechanism, once you can turn on work on command, the next fight is obvious. It is not motivation anymore. It is protection, because momentum is powerful, but it is also vulnerable. If you do not guard your focus, the world will steal it. If you do not set boundaries, other people will spend your energy for you in the next stage. You do not need more motivation. You need to protect your momentum. Chapter 12. Cut the noise, protect your focus. Focus is an asset. It is the most valuable resource you have if you want real results. And noise is not a minor annoyance. Noise is a thief. It steals minutes, then hours, then days. It steals your best thinking. It steals your momentum. It steals your future quietly while you call it just checking and just a break. If you lose your focus, you lose the day. And if you keep losing days, you lose your life by slow erosion. Your job is not to tolerate noise. Your job is to treat it like an enemy and remove it. You lose your focus. You lose the whole day. Here is the law that runs your day. Your most important outcome must dominate everything, not your mood, not your inbox, not the world's demands. Outcome first. Always. You do not try to focus like it is a fragile feeling you hope shows up. You command it, you set priorities, and you obey them. That is what winners do. They do not negotiate with distractions. They do not ask their feelings for permission. They live under a rule the outcome sits above everything else, and the rest of the day adjusts around it. You do not try to focus. You set the law, and you will not keep focus by accident. Focus is not your natural state. Reaction is, the world is built to pull you into reaction, so you have to renew your focus every morning. Every day is a reset. Every day is a new fight for clarity. That is why you begin the day the same way you read the plan. You remind yourself of the outcome, and you take the first step immediately. Not later. Not after you warm up. The first move is the ignition. It tells your brain who is in control today. You reset daily. You take the wheel daily, day after day. Reset, day after day. Take control. When the noise hits, and it will, you need one filter that cuts through everything. One question, no debate, no explanation. Ask it instantly. Does this serve the goal? If the answer is not a clear yes, it is noise. If it is not moving you toward the outcome, it is stealing from the outcome. If you have to convince yourself, it is already a no. This is how you stop getting dragged. This is how you stay clean. Not serving the goal equals noise. Now you do the surgical cuts. 3 clean strikes. First cut, break the morning reaction loop. Do not start your day with your phone, your messages, your feeds, your notifications. That is not information. That is a hijack. The first thing you touch in the morning should be your plan, not the world's noise. Second cut, kill the habit of opening for fun. If an app is not part of your outcome, it does not get opened inside your focus hours. Period. Third cut, remove the triggers. Identify what repeatedly pulls you away. Tabs, alerts, certain rooms, certain people, certain routines, and cut the access. You do not need to be stronger than temptation. You need to make the environment cleaner than temptation. You do not need to be stronger. You need to be cleaner. And yes, you will need isolation. Not forever. Not to hide from life, but enough to finish what matters. Most people call isolation selfish because they do not understand responsibility. If you want a real outcome, you need real space. You need a protected block where your mind is not being interrupted every 3 minutes. You need a place where your attention can actually build something. This is not ego. This is duty. You cannot produce deep work in a shallow environment. You want results. You need space. Now install the mandate that protects everything until it's done. You do not stop because you feel tired. You do not stop because it feels boring. You do not stop because your emotions start begging for relief. You stop when the chosen step is completed, or when the outcome block ends, whichever rule you set at the start. This is how you train your mind to respect your commands. This is how you build discipline that doesn't collapse when the excitement fades. Your feelings do not get the steering wheel. The mandate does. You do not stop when you are tired. You stop when it is done. Now, prove it in the next 24 hours, not with promises, with a cut. Pick your biggest source of noise right now: social media, email notifications, endless messaging, mindless browsing, and remove it completely for 24 hours. No, just a quick check. No loopholes. Then, record the data: how much you got done, how clear your mind felt, how fast you moved when you were not being pulled in 10 directions. You will learn something important. One correct cut is stronger than 100 weak promises. One right cut is stronger than 100 promises. And understand this: noise does not only come from devices and habits, it also comes from other people's demands, other people's schedules, other people's expectations. Cutting noise is step 1. Keeping it cut requires step 2. Boundaries. Because if you do not protect your focus, someone else will spend it for you. You cut the noise. Next, you build the boundaries. You cut the noise, then you build the walls. Chapter 13. Personal boundaries. Say no to protect your time and energy. Every time you say yes carelessly, you sell your day for cheap. Time is your most valuable asset. And if you do not protect it, someone else will take it to serve their priorities. They will fill your schedule with their urgency. They will pull your attention into their noise, and then you will end your day with nothing to show for it but exhaustion. Understand this: every yes to something that does not matter is a no to your future. You do not lose your future in one dramatic moment. you lose it in small, careless agreements. If you do not hold your day, you will lose your day. Now, you need a new order of loyalty. Your mission comes before your need to be liked. Your outcome comes before your habit of pleasing people. Progress demands trade-offs. You cannot keep everyone comfortable and still move forward at full speed. You cannot keep saying yes to protect your image and still build a life you respect. There is a price for real growth. And one of the first prices is discomfort. The discomfort of disappointing people, the discomfort of not being available, the discomfort of being the person who has standards. If you want big progress, you must accept this truth. You cannot be loved by everyone and still make massive moves. Next, you need a filter so simple you can use it in real time. A binary test. Yes or no. Belongs or does not belong. When a request comes in, ask one question. Does this belong to me? Does it serve the mission you chose? Does it protect the plan you set? Does it move the outcome you are responsible for? If the answer is no, it is noise. If it does not push you forward, it pulls you backward. If it is not part of your plan, it is not part of your day. You do not debate with noise. You do not negotiate with distractions. You do not try to fit it in. You cut it out. Not because you are rude, because you are serious. Not yours equals not on your schedule. Now, let's get practical. Most people fail at boundaries because they talk too much. They explain, they apologize, they write paragraphs to justify a simple decision. And the more they explain, the weaker they sound. The more they explain, the more openings they give for someone else to push. You need a script, short, calm, final. The no script. I'm not taking this on. I already have a priority scheduled. I can't join. I'll respond later. Not right now. That is it. No long story. No emotional essay. No defending your life like you are on trial. Your time is not a courtroom. Your time is a fortress. You are allowed to be clear. You are allowed to be direct. You are allowed to be unavailable. The more you explain, the weaker you become. And here is the boundary that matters most, your outcome block. The protected time you set to execute. The block you decided was non-negotiable. This is not a casual appointment. This is the engine of your progress. In that block, you isolate. You shut the door. You silence the noise. You do not check messages just for a second. You do not quickly handle a request. You do not let someone else's urgency break your momentum. This is where your future gets built, quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly. If you allow people to enter your block, you do not have a block. You have a suggestion. Your block must be untouchable. Block is a fortress. Now face the real enemy. It is not other people. It is the traitor inside you. The part of you that fears being judged. The part of you that feels guilty when you say no. The part of you that panics when someone is disappointed. That voice will try to drag you back into reaction mode. It will whisper. Just this once. It will say, "Don't be difficult." It will say, "They will think you're selfish. Listen closely." The discomfort of saying no lasts 5 minutes. The regret of losing focus can last 5 years. You must decide what pain you prefer. 5 minutes of discomfort, or 5 years of regret. Your future does not care that you were polite. Your future cares that you executed. Now install another rule. The slow response rule. Stop reacting instantly. Stop letting every buzz, every ping, Every call pull you out of your work like you have no spine. You do not have to answer immediately. You do not have to be available on demand. You choose the time you respond. You choose when you engage. You choose when you open the door. Because every instant response is a surrender of control. And control is the foundation of your progress. You are not a servant to notifications. You are the owner of your attention. Say it until it becomes real. You do not react. You choose. Now, I want you to train this like a muscle, not a theory. For the next 7 days, you will say no once per day to something that does not serve your most important outcome. 1 no per day. A request, a meeting, a distraction, a conversation that drains you, a habit that steals your time. You will feel the tension. Good. That is the muscle working. You will feel the urge to explain. Stop. Use the script, short, calm, final. Then go back to your block. This is how you reclaim your day. This is how you stop being pulled. You train no so you can protect yes for your future. And once you do this, something changes. When the noise gets cut off and the boundaries go up, you start to feel it. Space, clarity, speed. Your execution becomes cleaner because your day stops getting ripped into pieces. Your mind stops switching every 5 minutes. Your outcome starts getting done. And when outcomes get done, momentum is born. That is what comes next. In the next chapter, we will talk about momentum, the most powerful force in your discipline. But right now, your job is simple. Guard your time. Guard your energy. Protect your block. Say no without guilt. Say no without a speech. Say no like someone who respects their own life. Because now, you are not just holding your day. You are starting to build momentum. Chapter 14. Momentum, the strongest force of discipline. Motivation is not your problem. Motivation is a spark. It flares up and dies fast. One good video, one good morning, one emotional wave. Then reality hits and the spark is gone. Momentum is different. Momentum is the engine. It is what carries you forward when you feel nothing. It is what keeps you moving when the excitement fades. It is the quiet force that makes hard days feel lighter because you are already in motion. And once you understand this, you stop chasing sparks. You start building engines. Motivation is a spark. Momentum is an engine. But do not misunderstand momentum. Momentum is not magic. It does not maintain itself forever while you disappear for weeks and then expect the machine to still be warm. Momentum must be renewed daily. Not with big dramatic moves, with small correct moves, with actions that point in the right direction. Every single day, if you skip long enough, the engine cools, the resistance returns, the day starts feeling heavy again. That is why winners do not get motivated every day. They renew momentum every day. They feed the machine with a small action that proves the direction is still alive. You keep momentum with small actions in the right direction. Here is the loop that creates momentum. Action builds evidence. Evidence builds confidence. Confidence builds more action. That is the real formula. Action to confidence to more action. Most people try to reverse it. They want confidence first. They want belief first. They want to feel ready first. That is why they stay stuck. You do not wait for belief. You create proof. You move first. Then your mind follows. You want to trust yourself. Give yourself evidence. You want to feel confident. Do something you can point to. One action, one completed step, one small win, then another. You want to believe work until you have proof. Now you need a tool, because feelings will still show up. Life will still get messy. The outside noise will still try to steal your day. So you need a rule that protects your motion. I call it the streak rule. The rule is simple. You do not let the chain break for stupid reasons. Every day, you complete at least one minimum action tied to your most important outcome. Not 5 outcomes, not a list of fantasies. One outcome, one minimum action. This is not about doing a lot. This is about staying alive in the process. Because when the chain survives, your identity survives. When the chain survives, the engine stays warm. Some days the streak will be small. Some days it will be strong. But it will exist. And that is the point. Small streaks keep you alive. Big streaks make you break through. There will be days when you want to stop. Days when you feel bored. Days when you feel behind. Days when you feel like none of it matters. Those days are not rare. They are guaranteed. And that is exactly why you need one more rule. The momentum version. When your brain says, "Stop here," you answer with one more. One more minute, one more page, one more rep, one more step. Not because it is heroic, because it protects momentum at the exact point where most people kill it. Most people do not quit at the hard point. They quit at the easy point. They quit at the point where it feels reasonable. They quit at the point where nobody would blame them. That is why they stay average. So learn this line and tattoo it into your operating system. Do not stop at the easy stopping point. Now, let's talk about what happens when you lose momentum. Because it will happen. A sick day. A travel day. A chaotic week. A mistake. A slip. A fall. The worst thing you can do is turn that interruption into a story of failure, a story of "I'm not that person," a story of shame. That story kills the engine faster than the interruption ever could. The right move is simpler. Return to the minimum immediately. No drama, no self-hate, no punishment. You do not need to restart your life from zero. You need to get back on the track. That is it. Back on the track means you return to the outcome. You choose the smallest acceptable action. You do it today. You log it. And you lock tomorrow. This is how you rebuild momentum fast. You do not make up for lost time with madness. You rebuild the chain with control. You do not need to start again from zero. You need to return to the track. Here is a warning that will save you years. Impulse destroys momentum. The impulse to go extreme. The impulse to crush it for 3 days and then collapse. The impulse to sprint, burn out, disappear. Then call it life happened. That is not momentum. That is a mood swing. Momentum is steady. Momentum is rhythmic. Momentum is boring sometimes. And boring is good. Boring means stable. Boring means repeatable. Your life does not change from one crazy burst. It changes from one correct action repeated. Momentum needs consistency, not insanity. Momentum needs steady, not crazy. So you need a simple practice that keeps you honest. Not a feeling tracker, not a motivation journal, an action tracker. I want you to run a 14-day momentum track. For 14 days, you will mark one thing only. Did you complete your minimum action for your most important outcome today? Yes or no? No excuses, no paragraphs, no emotional analysis, just the mark. This is how you manage reality. Because you are not managing emotions, you are managing actions. Emotions lie, actions tell the truth. And when you can look at 14 marks in a row, you will feel something real. You will feel ownership. You will feel strength. You will feel your engine working again. You do not manage feelings, you manage actions. Momentum is the strongest force of discipline because it reduces the cost of moving. At the beginning, everything feels heavy. You push against resistance, you negotiate, you delay. But once momentum is built, the same work becomes lighter, the day becomes cleaner, the decisions become faster. Not because life got easier, but because you became someone who stays in motion, someone who protects the streak, someone who returns to the track immediately. That is what winners do. They do not rely on sparks. They run engines. And now you are ready for the final step, because momentum must be protected by a daily oath and a smart reset when you stumble. The next chapter closes the system. It turns this into a way of living, a standard you do not break, a loop you repeat. Plan, execute, protect, repeat. And when you fall, you reset fast. Final chapter. You become the kind of person who cannot be taken out. Chapter 15. Daily commitment plan, execute, protect, repeat. You will fall, not maybe, not if, you will. There will be days you lose control. Days you wake up and drift. Days you react instead of lead. Days you break your own plan and then feel the urge to punish yourself for it. Hear me clearly, falling is not the problem. Staying down is the problem. The real danger is not the mistake. The real danger is what you do after the mistake. Do you disappear for a week because you had one bad day? Do you quit the whole system because you slipped once? That is how people lose their lives, not in one big failure, but in the silence after the fall when they decide they are done. You are not done. You are not allowed to stay down. Discipline is not a perfect straight line that rises forever. It never was. The goal is not to become a person who never slips. The goal is to become a person who gets back on track fast. You are not training for perfection. You are training for return speed. You are building a reflex. A phoenix reflex. You don't avoid the fall. You train the rise. Because the winners are not the people who never lose a day. The winners are the people who refuse to lose the next day. And that is what makes a system immortal. Now, redefine failure before it poisons you. When you fail to execute your plan, that is not a verdict on your character. It is not proof you are weak. It is not evidence you are broken. It is data. It is feedback. It is a signal that something in your system drifted and needs adjustment. You are not bad, you are off track. That's it. And once you see it that way, you stop wasting energy on guilt. You stop turning one mistake into a story about who you are. You stop labeling yourself. You start correcting the system, because guilt keeps you down. Data pulls you back up. Your job is not to judge yourself. Your job is to realign, and you will feel the internal war every time. There are two voices in you. One voice is autopilot. It wants comfort. It wants distraction. It wants the easy escape. It says, just scroll, just rest, just start tomorrow. It whispers like it cares about you. But it is trying to drag you back into the old life. The other voice is command. It is discipline. It is the part of you that knows what you said you wanted. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't beg. It doesn't debate. It gives orders. And here is the rule: you do not argue with the drifting voice. You command yourself back. You don't negotiate with autopilot. You shut it down. You return to control. This is where the 24-hour reset becomes your weapon. Not a theory, a mechanism. When you fall, you have one job: get back on the rails within 24 hours. 4 steps. Simple, brutal, effective. Step 1. Admit. Say it plainly. I drifted. No drama, no self-hate, no excuses, just truth. Step 2. Cut the noise. Remove the biggest distraction immediately. Turn off the notifications. Close the tabs. Delete the trigger. Leave the room. Break the loop. Step 3. Rewrite. Plan tomorrow before you sleep. Write your daily outcome map again. 1 outcome, 1 block, 1 target. Make it clean. Make it doable. Step 4. Start. Do the first 10 minutes of the most important step. Not tomorrow. Now. 10 minutes is enough to break the paralysis. 10 minutes is enough to rebuild momentum. 10 minutes is enough to remind your brain who is in charge. Say it and live it. You don't need perfection. You need fast recovery. Now use your pain. Most people waste pain. They turn disappointment into self-destruction. They turn failure into a reason to quit. You will do the opposite. You will practice alchemy. You will turn pain into fuel. Let the frustration remind you of the cost of drifting. Let the sting remind you why this matters. Pain will not kill you. Pain will make you serious if you use it. The fall is not there to end you. The fall is there to sharpen you. So when you feel that heavy regret, don't sit in it. Convert it. Stand up. Reset. Protect the next day harder than the last. Then you seal this system with an oath. Not a lifelong speech, a daily vow. Because you don't win by promising forever. You win by committing today, every morning, in your morning control window. You say the daily oath, short, clear, commanding today. I am the driver. I do the outcome first. I do not react. That's it. You don't need poetry. You need direction. You don't need to feel inspired. You need to remember who is in charge. And then you prove the oath with action. 1 outcome. 1 block. 1 execution. Because self-respect is built by evidence, not by hope. Now here is your 30-day practice. For the next 30 days, you do 2 things. Every morning, you read the oath. Every night, you mark 1 outcome action you completed. 1 check, 1 proof, 1 deposit into your identity. Do it for 30 days and something changes. Not your schedule. Your belief. You stop wondering if you are capable. You have receipts. You start trusting yourself because you have a track record. 30 days is enough to build a new identity. I am the driver. And now the final message of this book, the last law you carry with you. This is the immortal loop plan. Execute, protect, hold momentum. Reset fast, repeat. This is not motivation, this is not a mood, this is a standard. Success does not belong to the excited, it belongs to the consistent. You will not win because you felt inspired. You will win because you refuse to disappear. You fall. You rise. You drift. You reset. You lose a day. You protect the next. You keep showing up until you win.